All right, welcome back, everybody. We're doing another episode of Komei is the Way. So Eileen and I are just kind of like having a relaxed day off, and so I'm gonna record some episodes of Komei whenever I've got time. So what we're doing here, we're just doing a Komei restoration. I don't want to retread everything every single time. I apologize to someone who's listening to this in like rapid succession. So basically, we're just trying not to pick fights with great powers right now. That's what we're doing. We're trying not to pick fights with them because we don't need to. It doesn't get us anything. The secret cabal is suggesting right now to the shogun that rather than relying on these peasant levies, because he cannot currently trust the daimyo, right? He can't trust them, and that's what the peasant levies represents. And so someone is whispering to the shogun, hey, Ienari, you probably, rather than having troops that come out of all of these provinces and unreliable things, you're gonna move over to using a professional army, and you're gonna feel really good about it. And Ienari is like, you're right. That's a great idea. There's no way that I'm gonna do that. To not do that. I'm gonna go for it. Let's go for it. And he does. He goes for it. But what he doesn't know is that the person who has been selected to become a part of this cadre, the person who is supposed to be in charge of the professional army, is none other than Mizuno Tadakuni, who is an arrogant bandit. So this guy does not command the respect of anyone who serves under him, but he's like a wonderful tragic figure because while being an arrogant bandit, he's also just like, he has very, very, very specific ideas about the interaction between Buddhism and the world, and was brought in to assist this secret cabal over here. All these guys, every single one of these guys is loyal to Komei. By the way, that's the thing that we got to work with. All of them are loyal to Komei. Working here with Heihachiro Oshio, but really it's Oshio Heihachiro because of the way these things flip back and forth. He convinced him to, and the shogunate, to allow this dude be the dude in charge of the samurai. And what that means is that the samurai, even when there's a lot of them, the professional army is going to have a great deal of difficulty commanding the respect and loyalty of the civilians, because the dude who's in charge of it he's a bandit. This guy was literally a rebel who got captured and convinced to come over to the government side, and that just makes it really hard for him to acquire the loyalty of pops. Popularity is really, really important. We'll note here it's 1837. Buddhist monks are up to 25%, and we have not even begun to do suppression yet, because we are working on colonization. We've got 4 months left on that. This is, again, kind of like going to be a tutorial thing about what you can do. If you want to speedrun, you can do it with this as the guide, but this guide is going to be geared towards people who are doing a campaign. And then, again, if you want to do it better, you can cheat. Like, you can re-roll until you hit professional army on the first roll. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Professional army is going to be really good for us, though. It's going to be really good for us. And the reason it's going to be really good for us is that while it is correct for the shogun to not trust the daimyo, to be loyal to him, the creation of a professional army instead of the shogunate is going to massively drain the power of the landowners who he is supposed to be standing in for the power of, because that's going to be a transformation from from plus 25% on shogun to plus 25% on samurai. It's going to be a big deal. I promise it's going to be a big deal. There it is. Done. Nailed it. All right, sweet. So we got that done. We cannot yet do no colonial, which is what we want to do next, because we just haven't finished the research. So this is where like it really, really is useful to be using grain taxes, because you can afford it. It doesn't matter. Your grain's cheap. Most of your people are peasants. You have really bad tax capacity, so that just means you're just leaving the peasants alone, and they're able to buy their own grain, and everyone's fine. That just like leave your pops alone. Don't mess with them. Paradox Interactive told people bad strategies. I'm gonna tell you about better ones. They're gonna be really good. You guys are gonna win a lot of games in this, and it's because we're gonna play well. We're gonna respond to the historical forces that exist in the game, and we're going to utilize them, and we're going to harness them, and we're going to be thrall to them. And by being thrall to the historical forces that exist in Vicky 3, because they do, by being enthralled to them, we will have very powerful countries by the end of these. I promise, we will. I'm not. If you're looking for a campaign, by the way, to fall asleep to, this is gonna be it. I'm gonna try to not be a screaming idiot in this video. We'll find out. That's not a promise. That is not a promise, and I don't want anyone to make it sound like it is a promise, because it's not. It's a goal, and that's the way it is. It's the way it is. So I'm looking in the market right now. That's a useful thing to do if you're not sure what you should be doing. You can check the market. You also want to make sure that like your market access isn't bad. Expensive government goods are always useful to keep it in mind over here. Battalions in reserve, that's a nonsense thing. I'm just gonna right click on that. The number means nothing, and having it up there is bad because I want to be able to do this and drag them out, but we can't. So we compromise and we just remove the things from the current situation bar that are pointless and will lead you astray. When one of them shows up, I'll talk about why we're getting rid of it. Like, there's no task capacity in here because that's dumb. And you'll see it and you'll think it's a bad thing, but it's not, and I promise it's not. And if you don't understand why, ask in the comments. I will gladly talk to you about it. But task capacity right now is a good thing. Don't build bureaucracy because you think you need it. I promise you don't. It's so horrible. It'll make you so much weaker, and it'll make you weaker for good reason. Unfortunately, this campaign, Russia is going to get Sakhalin. I'm not going to reroll for that. I'm not going to do it. It's Russia is Sakhalin in this campaign, and there's really nothing I'm going to do about it. I could fight them, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to get Hokkaido, and I'm going to be happy about it. In actual speedrun, you don't even mess with Hokkaido. It does not matter. But in the campaign, you'll like it. It's good. It's a good state. It has a lot of good resources, and for that reason, if you're taking the campaign after like 1850, it is absolutely worth it. Ooh, enact serfdom abolished has emerged as a political movement. Absolutely, we would love to enact serfdom abolished. Did we just do that? Did we just do? Oh, we're waiting for colonization. That's what we're waiting for. But yeah, we'll do serfdom abolished. We will. I promise. We're gonna do it. That is definitely the plan. That's definitely the plan. We are going to take all of the power away from the daimyo, and we're going to turn it all over to the emperor, and the emperor is going to ride off into the sunset, laughing like a maniac, just screaming idiot into the abyss. We're not increasing law enforcement right now. Do not increase law enforcement until the hell did we just pass? Oh, we just researched colonization, right? So now we can pass stuff. I don't think it matters between resettlement and exploitation. I think you take whatever you have the highest chance on, and in this case, it's the same because it's samurai plus shogunate, and that's gonna always be the same number. That's always gonna be the same number. The other stuff, if you want to worry about it, you can. Basically, to summarize, to make this useful to people, because these are a little weird. 100% migration attraction unincorporated states. What does that mean? So an unincorporated state is something where you basically have not built a core there, and so that means that your bureaucracy costs are going to be lower in unincorporated states than in incorporated states. Institutions do not apply in unincorporated states, and unincorporated states get a migration attraction bonus naturally anyway, and this just like massively increases it. So if you want to do long-term colonies that are good at leeching population from people, then colonial resettlement is very good. If, on the other hand, you want to do something where you rapidly colonize things, right now the way that colonization works is you send, it's like a civilian thing at first, right? You right-click somewhere, people start moving from your homeland over there. The more incorporated pops that you have, the more growth you'll have, and the faster you'll colonize these decentralized spaces. But occasionally these people will feel threatened because they are mostly nomadic pastoralists, and you're crowding in on their land. They're happy to move, so like, I mean, the pops don't literally move, but I'm helping you conceptualize this. They're happy to move around. They don't worry that much unless they feel really constrained, and that's what the I think it's the turmoil in the state is supposed to represent. And when they start feeling threatened, tension, that's what it's called. When they start feeling threatened, they can rise up against you, and they'll demand that you just leave entirely. Just take apart all of those colonies that they claim. And then if you leave entirely, then they're happy. But if you win, then you get everything. And I think probably what a better fix for it would be if you win, then you get a tension bonus and a turmoil bonus and a massive, massive, massive colonization speed bonus there, just to represent the fact that if you beat them militarily, they do not have the ability to resist you anymore, and so your colonists can kind of colonize with impunity. But that's not what happens right now. What happens right now is if you win, you just get the entire thing all at once. And so you see these areas, rather than it being like, okay, I beat the local resistance and now I can colonize faster, it's sort of like, okay, I beat the local resistance and now the entire thing is colonized automatically, all government things are in place, we're good to go, and then we can immediately start colonizing inland. And so because of the tension decay, if you want to colonize very, very, very fast, colonial exploitation is actually faster than colonial resettlement, but it also is going to cause you to get more infamy. And if you're doing a full campaign and you're interested in doing a world war and stuff, then like your infamy does kind of matter. Like you can't just ignore it. At a certain point you do get to the point where you're strong enough to just ignore it. But like in the mid game, when you're doing your expansion and you're securing access to your coal and your iron and the other things that are important, you do need to pay attention to your infamy. You cannot ignore it until you're stronger than everybody else combined. And so tension is tough, because if you have colonial exploitation and everyone keeps rising up over and over and over again, your infamy is going to spike, because right now you just annex the location in question, but the war goal that it gives you during the diplo play that gets generated is an annexation one that adds a lot of infamy. And so it's not free, and the people who think it's free don't understand. It's a choice. It is a choice, and it's a meaningful one. But it's one that you kind of need to make for yourself depending on your goal. You go for resettlement if you're going for like a world conquest, because it's going to help you get pops, and at a certain point that's really all you care about. And it's also going to keep your infamy down. Whereas if you're not doing anything like really, really powerful, then you do colonial exploitation. Colonial exploitation isn't bad. It's just like, this is the sort of thing if you want to play fair, and this is the sort of thing if you want to be the USA. We'll do resettlement, because I do actually recommend it. But if you want to do exploitation because you want to colonize a little faster, you can. It's not bad. Both are good. And both are good for exactly the same reason, kind of, because what they're doing is that because we re-rolled to Jingoist, our shogunate force, again, which is under the control of our friend, is going to be really excited about the fact that we're working on colonies, because he's a Jingoist, and that means that all of the clout for the shogunate is going to go towards passing colonial resettlement. And look at that, everybody, look at that. We continue to drain, and we don't even have suppression and promotion and bolstering on. We don't have either of those on yet. We will. We don't have them yet, because we need to probably do colonial resettlement. Once we've done colonial resettlement, then then the Cabal is gonna join us and present Emperor Komei with the next plan. Because remember, we are Komei, who's not on screen, working against Tokugawa, and this is, I think, extremely historical too. Extremely historical, because for those of you who do not understand the history here, the Meiji Restoration was in 1868. That was 1 year after the death of the Emperor Komei. The Emperor Komei is the emperor during the Expel the Barbarians, Revere the Emperor campaign. He was very anti-Western. He was very anti-Western. I can't believe I didn't research academia. That's okay. That's not worth refilming for. But you should immediately after colonization, if you're in a campaign, immediately go for the academia. If you're doing a speed run, you don't need this. That's optional. That is campaign only. I think that's a good episode, actually. That's 15 minutes. We'll call it there.